Okay, now, before you guys come in with your shovels and axes and maliciously attack me in the comment section, just by looking at the title, just give it a chance. Hear me out. If you come in and comment within the first 30 seconds of this video, you're not allowing me to justify where I'm going with this conversation, as it is an open conversation and seems to be something that is being openly discussed in the comment section. So I thought we'd just raise it here and now and talk about it prior to next season and prior to the future. Now, we know what the title is Fly effectively setting us up for failure in the future beyond the next couple of years? So Fly comes in after 2021, the debacle season that was, and you could probably assume that Collingwood were going to go through some sort of rebound, which is what Fly excels in, doing work in the VFL and being a development coach and whatnot. So we understand that, right? And let's go back to 2020, where we have our biggest draft hand of recent years. We bring in Oliver Henry, we bring in Reef McInnes, Finlay McRae, we bring in Bo McCreary, so on and so forth, right? So we take those players, we give up a future first to GWS, is what I've learned, to get access to these early second round picks regarding Finlay McRae and Reef McInnes. So that's where Derek Hine gives that up. Okay, I guess the idea there is to do a mini rebuild after the 2020 season, where we lost in a semi-final against Geelong quite convincingly. And then what happens? We bring in Nick Dacos in Fly's first year, along with Lipinski and Kruger, who were both relatively young, under 23 at that point. And we bring in Josh Carmichael through the mid-season draft, and has an impact at a young age for Collingwood. The vibe changes quite quickly from there, right? When you realise you've got a godsend in Dacos. He's literally turned around our fortunes in the space of months. From the end of 2021 to the start of 2022, we start to realise, hold on, we're back in our window again, right? And the motive changes. Fly has to go out and recruit and make space on the list to pursue this premiership window that we've all of a sudden have found ourselves in. And it's like, wow, okay, well, here we are. And we find out with delisting Liam McMahon, who was a pick 31, 6'6" key forward, who we spoke about in today's earlier video. The conversation around the reasoning behind the delisting, Liam McMahon comes out and says, well, it just came down to Fly admitting that we needed to make space for the list to bring in McStay, to bring in Tom Mitchell, Billy Frampton, and then Bobby Hill, who was only 22 at the time. So you say, well, we're giving up our future and our youth. We bring in Bobby Hill, who's quite young, in a perfect age demographic where you want it to be for someone to really carry the mantle moving forward in our forward line department, which is Bobby Hill has done, Mr. Norm Smith, we know that. Is it a blunder looking back at McMahon's delisting? Maybe, I don't know. It's how do you, I guess, quantify that? He left, he's killing it at Carlton in the VFL side, kicked 45 goals this year, but we made space for those incoming players and we won the flag. So there's always going to be a trade-off there, isn't there? And now we're probably in a position where we'd like to have McMahon on our list. We lost Caleb Poulter through delisting him, really. It would have been the same conversation. And he's having a decent impact at Western Bulldogs. So you scratch your head at that as well. That's up for conversation. And then we lose Oliver Henry to Geelong. But was it because he wanted to play with his brother or lack of opportunities at Collingwood? Probably both. And it's a head scratcher, not in a sense that it's a blunder. It's just in a sense like, okay, well, it just could have gone either way, right? We win the flag, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of 22, we bring in Joe Richards, Ed Allen, and Jacob Ryan. And two of those players all of them have played AFL. Ryan just the one game. Allen has shown signs. Richards was a catalyst in getting Dan Houston over the line. So there again, it's like, yes, we're relying on veterans and we're getting older as a list, but that's the thing is, right? You look at 2010, we were the second youngest team to win a flag at the time. And if you go by the logic of a young list equals success, ongoing, prolonged success, is not always the case. That should have been a dynasty. That should have been 4 or 5 flags. We only win 1 flag, right? So nothing's guaranteed. North Melbourne have had picks for years. Carlton have had picks for years. Fremantle have been around the mark. St Kilda. But when you have this chance to stay there when you're right at the top, you've just got to roll the dice and have a crack. That's my view in all of this, for if there's something I want you guys to take out of this conversation. And then while we get Richards, Allen and Ryan, then following year, at the end of our premiership year, we give a future first and a future second for Lachie Schultz. And I think the jury's still out for that. I think it's too premature to say it's a failed assignment. I think there's more to be told, and I think Schultz has more to prove and has that in him to do that next year. So let's hang tight there, right? What did 24 do to some of our more youthful players like Finlay and Reef McInnes? Did it have an impact? For sure. Were there times where Fly probably should have played them earlier in the season? I believe so. But, and the year we look back at, it was an injury-riddled year. We had lacked consistency. We lacked a bit of desire. You just sort of nip that one in the bud and call that a down year. And for what was a down year is a year in the past that actually gets you into the finals with the amount of premiership points we had with those 2 draws and what was it, 11 wins or something, or 12 wins. So 13 wins usually gets you over the line in other years, but not this competitive year. And it'll probably be like that for the foreseeable future. It's not going to be easy to crack the top 8. You're going to have to win 14, 15 games to really solidify yourself in the top 8 and dare to be in the top 4. At the same time, we played TJ, we played Will Parker, we played Ned Long, we played Harvey Harrison, all youngsters. Harvey Harrison, unfortunate circumstances with the ACL, but was a beneficiary of the injuries we had in our side. Ned Long, a beneficiary. Will Parker, TJ, albeit the one game. Di Mattia, who was drafted as well down to 23, had an injury-riddled pre-season. Still more to be told about him. And then we trade another future first for Perryman, but then you can make the argument that McGuan, if he's a top 5 pick, is going to eat up our first round pick anyway, so we may as well give it away. And that's something list management has in the back of their mind. We're bringing in first round talent like McGuan next year. Alex Condon, who was once dubbed the top 5 prospect in his respective draft year, who's currently playing his trade in college basketball in America. So I feel like we're not naive to the fact that we're getting too old. We're bringing in youth at the same time. They're being injected at different times. We have players coming in the future if all goes well. But once again, you have to keep in mind that youth does not guarantee success and does not set the path to success either. It's not always guaranteed. There are clubs who are perpetually in failure mode at the moment despite high draft picks. It's just not the way to go. There's many ways to skin a cat. There's many roads that lead to Rome. And using the mid-season draft, using the pre-season draft, Oleg Markov, Ash Johnson, Josh Carmichael, rookie draft, Jack Ginnivan, Bo McCreary, a mature age recruit, Joe Richards. So I think our list management is decent. Have we given up future first, our first round picks a lot in the national draft? Yes, but we've got a flag to show for it, which is the most important thing. And we're going to have a crack next year again after winning 4 of our last 5 games, right? So is all this conversation warranted that we shouldn't have delisted, I'm saying we shouldn't have delisted Arlo Draper. Mick Martin is premature. I agree with that, right? He was a tall key forward prospect coming to the club and was delisted after 2 years. But it's just unfortunate circumstances where we needed to make space on the list. Could you say after the fact that, well, we should have just delisted this person instead? Of course, but hindsight is 20/20, right? So let's not act like we're experts. But this is a good conversation to have because not everyone shares the same view. It's I don't know if it's divided 50-50, 60-40, either way, but certainly there are comments in the comments section where people have their gripes with the way we've drafted and recruited in the last 5 years specifically. So, I extend this conversation out to you guys once again. I want you to let me know in the comment section what you think and how far, am I far off the mark, am I on the point? Let me know. Go Pies.